that where I do the barracks on 11. In order to, I proxy the barracks on, build it on 11 supply, and I use it to just do as much damage as I can, and then I expand behind it.
And then maybe even lift it and scout.
Yeah, depending on how the things are going. I found it's fairly effective. It's not as effective if they chrono boost out the gateway, the first gateway unit. And then you do end up a little bit behind, kind of. I haven't done it enough to really have a super strong opinion about it, though.
Fair enough. And getting this gas pretty early. I guess this is kind of standard
It's a 15 gas.
And oh, wait, you said you were 2-rexing. For some reason, I felt like you were going to expand, and I couldn't understand the gas. But now it makes a little more sense.
Yep. So a couple things to keep in mind when you are scouting the Protoss player's base. How much chrono boost does he have left over? When does he take his second gas? And where does he use the chrono boost? And all of that will kind of give you a hint into what he's doing. Right now I'm seeing early second gas, lots of chrono boost. I expect him to chrono boost both the core and the gateway, and probably do some kind of 3-gate play.
Alright.
But he hasn't started anything out of his gateway, so that actually might be some... It could be a mistake, or it could be... what I would guess is he's actually getting a sentry first. Just because if I take a look at the gas, a little bit of delay there would make a lot of sense. So what I'm going to do with this SCV is I'm going to keep it right over here, so that... Of course, he caught me on the wrong side of the back and forth. But basically the point there is I can see what comes out and hopefully save this unit. I'm not going to save it because I messed it up, but that's the idea. That's what I was going for.
Gotcha.
So at this point, I'm actually pretty confused as to what he's doing. It still looks like it could be some kind of 3-gate fast expand or 3-gate pressure, just because of the early geyser and the large amount of chrono boost, but it's hard to really say. There weren't any big tells there, like if they start using all their chrono boost.
Yeah. What are some of the alarms that go off? I know that as a Zerg player, when I see a Stalker pop out first, that immediately tells me that, okay, he might be committing that gas to some kind of tech, like DTs or Stargate.
The biggest tell is if the second unit out is a Zealot, which almost no one ever does, or if the first unit out is a Sentry. Those are the two big tells.
Okay.
And then where they spend the chrono boost, and like I said, when they get the gas. So basically what I'm going to do here is I'm going to see with this army, poke in, apply a little bit of pressure. I'm going to expand behind this, and basically just see what he's up to as much as I can without overcommitting. So I'm going to send this Marine up ahead. I see that he has not taken his gas, so now I'm going to poke up the ramp. And depending on his unit comp, this should give me a lot of information about what he's probably doing. Not considering how early he took his geyser, I would expect more stalkers and sentries. So I'm going to throw down my eBay. It could be DTs, and basically what I'm going to do with this force out on the map is I'm going to get supply stuck. But I'm going to delay his expansion a little bit longer. And that's good enough for me. I'm going to fall back to my main. I'm going to build a turret. I'm going to start +1 armor, or +1 weapons right away, just because I can.
Now this turret is interesting to me. Is this because your spider sense is telling you DTs might be coming, or are you just playing super safe?
It's more just plain safe. Like, when he's on one base this long, one of the things that can... Oh, he's going Phoenixes. So it works out anyway.
Yep.
And so what I'm going to do actually at this point is go basically nothing but Marines. And I'm going to do a timing attack in a little bit here. Basically when +1 weapons and combat shields finishes, I'm going to do a big timing attack. May decide to incorporate some ghosts. Almost got that. Go ahead and get a another turret there just to protect my mineral line, or my production area.
Now you're on the same team as Optic Zero. I don't know how much you practice with him, but I play with him on occasion, and I know he really favors, or for a while he was really favoring this kind of Stargate play. And something that I've discussed with him in the past is how there is a timing with these Phoenix openings that is super vulnerable to just a Marine push. Is that what you're talking about hitting?
Yeah, exactly.
Okay. Is there like a game time that players can look for what to kind of key up on when they want to go push, or is it just kind of?
No, not specifically. I don't see this build enough to have it that worked out.
Okay.
It's just kind of when shields and +1 weapons finishes, my army is going to suddenly get much stronger, and so that's when I'm choosing to push. The fact that he's continuing to build sentries is a little bit of a tell, or continuing to build Phoenix. I need to focus, so that I can make all this work out.
Let's make it happen. Phoenixes are good, man.
Yep.
I realized last night that I'm a little bit of a crybaby when it comes to balance and stuff. And I was talking about Phoenixes and how it's never actually bad for Protoss to make them. Because they just always seem cost effective. I've never seen a Phoenix not be effective in some way. Now, in terms of being cost effective, that last exchange probably didn't go as you might have hoped. So, how do you feel about the state of the game right now?
I think I'm still winning.
Okay. And is this based on the timing of your third command center?
It's partly based on that. It's also based on the fact that his unit composition isn't terribly good with mass Phoenixes. I haven't seen any Colossus come out yet, which is also pretty good for me. And I know I'm ahead on upgrades.
And I'm noticing that you're continuing to be very, very, I guess, frugal with your command center energy. You're strictly dropping mules, almost. I've seen maybe one scan this whole game.
Yeah, I scanned him once. It's not really much to see in general in this.
Okay. Do you feel like just his openings locked him in a sense?
In some regards. And this push, okay, so we're actually going to go for a third.
Okay.
We could use some help here.
Add-on complete.
It's go time.
Here we go. Yeah, that's gonna die. There's those good EMPs we talked about. And that was an overwhelmingly good engagement for you. Oh no! Did we drop you, QXC? Sad face. You still with us?
Nope. Hey.
Oh, welcome back.
Yeah, I'm still here. Can you hear me?
Yes, I can. I can now.
Hey. Excellent. Did you like my micro against Colossus?
I was just face palming. Oh man, just face palming.
Somebody, get me out of this mess.
So QXC likes to attack.
I've noticed.
Yep.
I think Alice has noticed as well. He's probably feeling a little sad right now.
Add-on complete. Additional supply depots required.
And I had such a good question when you kind of cut out on us, and I can't remember what it was now.
Ready for dust off.
Oh, it's gone. It'll come back to us later.
Additional supply depots required. Additional supply depots required. Additional supply depots required.
Oh, I remember now.
Mineral field completed.
I'm in a world of hurt.
It's almost frustrating bringing players like you on and players like Red on, because sometimes their answer to the questions is just be as awesome as I am, you know. Hey QXC, how do I beat this? Well, you have to micro your Marines individually against the Colossi. Oh man. So, anyway.
I just drooled some water.
I mean, that looked one-sided and easy, and Alice is a really good player. He's a really good player. So, what's a harder map for Terran in this matchup? If you had to say.
Probably Shakuras,
All right.
especially if they do the 2-base Colossus push.
Well, that's where we're
Just 'cause
going.
The choke is really small, makes it very hard to actually maneuver against that once Protoss pushes up to your ramp. It's also pretty, like, any of the bigger maps, particularly Tal'Darim, Shakuras also comes to mind, are a little more challenging if the game gets to a stable late position. Like if it's 30 minutes in, Tal'Darim is a very hard map to win on. Shakuras is a very hard map to win on.
Yeah. Well, let's talk about that. Well, let's just talk about the death ball. When Protoss reaches kind of death ball status, is that a winnable situation for Terran, or does the game revolve around preventing them from getting that far?
The way I play it, the game revolves around don't let Protoss be on even bases with like an equal-sized army. Like if Protoss is on even bases, but you have better upgrades or better tech or something, like then you have compensation. But if the game is equal in terms of upgrades and tech and number of bases, you're kind of disadvantaged.
Yeah.
At least if you're going with mass bio play.
Okay.
It's really tough to win those late game situations where they have both Colossus and High Templar,
Yeah.
and a lot of warp gates. That's the biggest problem that a Terran will have when they're like, oh man, like his army's like weaker than mine, I'll just engage him. You can win those battles. What you can't win is the additional 30 or 40 supply that gets warped in halfway through the battle.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah. No, I agree.
So instead of fighting his 200, you fight his like 250 supply army, and that's really the hardest part, is actually being able to kill their army and push on through. Which is why I do the more harass heavy style.
Okay, cool. Sorry, Mike was all confused. He was like, "Oh, I thought Fade was going to play, but I wanted him to get one more game before I put Fade up." All right. So
Rock roll.
Go. Just give him 2